Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Guruji, can we start? Gaurchan Gopinath Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have logged in as another user. Can you just give me a permission to unmute?
Yeah, few minutes you need time, right?
No. There is another user I have logged in, another laptop. Can you just give the permission? I'm not able to unmute.
Oh, okay, I saw. Yes. Dear devotees, good morning all. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very happy to have the association of His Grace Gaurchan Gopinath Prabhu. He will be sharing Katha on verse 3, Sikshastakam. Yes, Prabhu.
Just give me a second. Om Ajnanathmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Bhagavad.
Hare Krishna, yeah, your video is off. Which one you are?
There are two laptops. Can you just give, because one is having problems, so you need to give.
Yeah, both you have the permission to share the video. Are you not able to share?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, from if you see the participants window on both the users, you have the co-host permission. So
Okay. Okay.
maybe you want to log out and log in. Yeah, now we can see.
No, I'll use the other laptop. Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Is it okay?
Yeah, little your face is getting cut off. Just stop. You have to move it to the right side. Yes, yes, bro, we can see.
ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यनामनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितां च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरपिषे नमः पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्त्यावतारं भक्त्याख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् आराध्य भगवान् ब्रजेश तनयस्तद्धाम वृन्दावनं रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधो वर्गेण वा कल्पिता श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रमाणममलं प्रेमा पुमतो महान् श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभोर्मधुमिदं तत्रादन परः आजानुलम्बितभुजौ कनकवादातौ सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायदाक्षौ विश्वाम्बरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ कृष्णावर्णं तुषा कृष्णं सङ्गोपङ्गशतपार्षदं यज्ञे सङ्कीर्तनप्राये विचिन्ति सुमेधशः हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरे प्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा I welcome all the devotees for this series of Sistastakam. I seek all the Vaishnavas assembled here and the Vaishnavas who have allowed me to speak to bestow this costless mercy so that I'll be able to speak, even though these topics needs to be realized and spoken. But I just speak from whatever I heard from the authorities. I'd like to share whatever what Prabhupada has written in his books today. The third chapter is the third verse, sorry, the Sistashtakam third verse. It talks about the very famous verse about the humility. So humility is the foundation by which love for God had manifest. So Acharyas mentioned that this is the shloka one should wear as a necklace around the neck and always remember. So Gokul Chandra Prabhu was wonderfully explaining Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojana. This is the Avideya part of it. Mahaprabhu says, let me tell you how to chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. How one should chant this Mahamantra. So then he started explaining this Trinarati verse. So how fire is there, then there is a heat and light is the dharma of that fire. Similarly, dharma of devotion is that humility or humbleness. So anybody says that, I'm doing devotional service without this humility, this character, we can never call that as a complete. So with this introduction, move on to this topic. Just give me a second. Prabhu, Prabhu, is my presentation visible clearly?
Yes, Praveen. Yes.
And my audio is okay?
Yes, yes, for me. Yes.
So I want to give introduction. So another 10 minutes, we will introduction about the Sistashtakam. Even though previously the devotees have explained, but still I would go about a little bit on this introduction to Sistashtakam. Then we will get into the verse today. So this is something taken from a book called Sri Bhajana Ragasya. This is written by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So when I was we want to improve my sadhana, then I was looking for some books where generally I would read Prabhupada books, but I want something to overcome my, still I'm struggling to chant. So I was looking for some book and I found this Bhajana Ragasya. This is a very wonderful book, very small, but there's a lot of information available. So some of them are today, what I'm speaking is from this book, and some of them I heard from Sankarshan Nitayapura from Mayapur. These are the two sources for my presentation today. This Astakala Bhajana, Astayama, they call it as. So generally this Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining how this entire 24 hours can be divided roughly into 3 hours. Don't look at the timing which I've written, that some of them might be wrong. I don't have authentic source, but roughly you can say 24 hours clock is divided into 3 hours. That's how the 8 part of the Kala is divided. So somebody, I was wondering when Prabhupada says always think about Krishna, never forget Krishna. 24/7, 24/7 being Krishna consciousness. I thought it is something like now you chant sometime, then after that you do your work. Still I was wondering how to remember Krishna 24/7. Then I found that the Acharya has always been on 24/7. It's simply that they remember when they start chanting the process, they take to this Astakala process where they would remember the pastimes of Krishna at particular time, what Krishna does. Because Krishna does exactly, the details might vary, but essentially he does the same activity in Goloka Vrindavan. So the Acharyas, when they are in the pure love, when they progress in the stage of bhakti, they can really see what is happening, the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So that way they are 24/7, they're connected with Krishna. So some of them, very esoteric nature, we may not be able to know them, but at least a high level, this can inspire, or at least we can understand the concept behind it, how the Acharya is able to chant 24/7 attentively. So this might give us some clue about what is happening. Of course, we may not be able to get into the details, but I just want to give you some high level overview how the bhajana, the Acharyas, they used to do the bhajana. So generally when we get up in the Mangalarti, we all remember in ISKCON, 3:30, 4 o'clock, we get up and we wake up the deities and we do a Mangalarti in the Prathama Yama. So that is roughly between 3:30 to 3 hours, about 6 hours, something like that, 6 o'clock like that. So Acharya Bhaktivinoda Thakur is explaining these various stages, the 9 levels of, we know, right? Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Krishna, Sakti, Bhava, Prema. So he is condensed into 8. This is Tashtakam. Is mapping every sloka, the 8 slokas we have. Every sloka represents one of the stages of this bhakti. The Cheto Darpana Marjanam sloka refers to the Shraddha. The person initially in the morning has early morning bhajana, he has this Shraddha to perform his activity. So you can remember that, in this pastime, the Acharyas remember that in the early morning, Radha Krishna, they are in the Kunj, they're supposed to go back to their house. So Vrinda Devi is trying to wake them up. The parrots and other birds, they're trying to waken Krishna and Radha. So they hesitantly get up and they want to, they want to go home. So that's a pastime happens. So after that, we know that when the Mangalarti is over, we try to chant with other devotees. right? Sadhu Sangha Anartha Nivritti. This is the process. We sincerely chant our Hare Krishna Mahamantra till Darshanarti. And during this process, the Nama Namakari Bauja Nija Sarvas, we take the holy name of the Lord, chant sincerely, try to remove our Anartha Nivritti. It is best chanted when along with the devotees. So during this period of time, we try to also do chant, right? Then this is the time Krishna gets up, goes and milks the cow, gets ready, and Radharani would have come here by this time, and she started cooking for Krishna. A lot of preparation, and she would have prepared. Krishna would, milk the cows and take bath, like that. Then he takes his breakfast, whatever Radharani is cooked. Now then Tritiya, then you can see that during this period, the Nista develops. This is where Trinarapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sakishnana. So during this time, Krishna goes to take his lunch and goes to the, for herding the cows. Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda goes along with them to some certain extent. Meanwhile, Radharani goes to her place and she is getting ready to meet Krishna. Krishna is also anxious to meet Radharani. After some time, Krishna and Radharani try to Radharani in the pretext of worshipping sun godhead, she comes to Radhakund and Krishna goes to Radhakund as well to meet. So this is the pastime happens. The acharyas relate to it and they do the spajana. In the Chaturyama, where Ruchi is coming, so that's where Radharani and Krishna, they have a pastimes of playing in the forest, going around the groves, swinging pastime, the water, playing in the water sports and things like that. Then we know that 3:30 to 6, Asakti, Krishna is returning back with his cowherd friends and boys, and Radharani goes back after this Madhyana Leela to prepare again the night preparation for Krishna. She would send it through her Sakhis. So Radharani started preparing various bhogas for Krishna, and Krishna comes back here, and he tries to take bath, things like that. And the Sastayama, where Baba is it's coming up, then you can see various symptoms, Nayanam Daladara Srudaraya, Vadanam Gadgada Rudayakira. So all this sloka, if you see, Mahaprabhu has systematically explained how this once bhakti can go to various stages of levels. Then after Baba, we can see Vipramlamba Prema and Prema. In the Prema, he divided into two. One is the Vipramlamba Prema, another one is this love and separation and the Prema stage. So that's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains and various Leela, like in the Saptamayama. So Krishna is completed and Yashodamaya is trying to put Krishna on the bed. And, so he's trying to go out. Radharani, whereas she would dress herself. If it is a new moon day in the black dress, if it is a white moon day, then she would dress on white. Depends on the situation, the Vrinda Devi suggests. So she's getting ready to meet Krishna again in the Kunj. Then Astamayama, where they meet actually, and they have pastimes. So this what happens in the day of Krishna. Maybe details may be a little different. So sometime you might, instead of meeting in Radhakund, you might some other place. Most of the time he meets Radharani in the same place. So this is the pastime happens. So when acharyas, when they start meditating, we know from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Rupa Goswami was meditating as he was actually seeing Krishna was playing in the branches and Radharani was hanging, those pastimes. So when acharyas, when 24/7, as soon as they touch the power of chanting the Hare Krishna bit, they immediately transform. That happens at the prema level. That's very highest level. But at least what inspiration we can take practically is that, when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is like, we are with Krishna. Krishna is chanting, dancing in our tongue. So we are directly connecting with Krishna with that move and bow, and we started chanting, then we'll get some rusi. Most of the time we chant alone. So I was asking this question one time, this Pune vice president came, I had opportunity to drop in. I said, I'm chanting alone at home. I don't have any taste at all whatsoever. How do I get some taste? Then you're telling there is a Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela. But what happens is in the Nama stage, we will not have that Leela, Nama, Rupa, Guna. You don't have a Rupa, Guna, Leela. So that's why it is very dry. And nobody is looking at. In the temple, we chant, especially I chant, whatever I'm speaking, I'm talking for my purification. Please forgive me if anything I speak offensively. So when I chant in front of everybody is there, they're looking at that conscious, subconscious is there. That's why we chant or try to chant, even though we put our sincere effort. Imagine if there is nobody, there's still the same level of conscious on which I would chant, I would say no. So then what I should, he said, then he told sometime you can read the pastimes, then try to chant. It's not that forcefully you try to remember the pastimes, but to inspire yourself, read something, then you can chant. That way, you try to get some taste till fake it, you get it like that. Then you'll get into the mood. So with this introduction, the importance of various verses, the various levels of progress happens in the Bhakti Yoga. So that's what introduction given in the Bhajan Ragasya, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur goes each and every sloka in detail about what happens is. So let me also move into the next, Krishna. Okay, next sloka. So this is, I was hearing in the GBC SPT. There are a lot of seminars happening. One of the Sistastikam prayers, I was watching one of the devotee who was presenting this. The first Sistastikam itself, how he can, Mahaprabhu is mapping the entire 9 stages of a bhakti. Now we have seen that every verse, 8 verses having various gradual level of progress on the bhakti, but even the first sloka itself contains various levels of stages which we can map to each and every word. For example, Cheto Darpana Marjanam means you do Bhajana Kriya, you do Anartha Nivarti, right? So that Cheto Darpana Marjanam is talking about something like that. So then he is talking about Param Vijayate. That happens only in the Sadhu Ado Shraddha. When you have faith and the chanting of the holy name, then the Ado Shraddha happens. Even though it is not in the order, but this every word, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, so removing our culmination, Anartha Nivarti stage happens. So Mahaprabhu is trying to condense, give this entire essence of the Vedas. The Vedas there. After that, there are so many Puranas came, out of which Bhagavatam is the compiled at the final stage of Vyasadeva releasing it. They wrote. Then further, Mahaprabhu condensed everything into the 8 verses. Out of these 8 verses, somebody says, even I don't know these 8 verses, tell me one verses which I can learn. This one verse which we learn, then the entire essence of Veda is there. Even somebody says this entire sloka, it's very difficult. Tell me one thing, one word which if I can remember is Kirtaniya Sadahari. If Kirtaniya Sadahari is remembered, then that is a Samman bone of the entire the Vedas or whatever literature written. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu summarizes in one verse. This is a very, very important verse. Trunarapi Sunichena Taroreva Shagishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. Now, in this verse, Mahaprabhu talks about one who thinks himself lower than the grass. The first meaning, Pranarapi Sunichena, means the humility part of it is talking about. Then Taroreva Sagishnuna is talking about tolerant. Humility and tolerant are 2 different, even though they look similar, there are 2 different topics altogether. Then the third topic is talks about Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadarihi. Amanina Manadena means give one, you give respect to others, but you don't expect honor or respect. So these are the 3 topics in this verse. But today I'll be covering the first one, the humility, because the each and every topic on its own, the particular details are there. So today we will be looking at only the first part of the humility. We will deep dive into little more on the humility part of it. So sometimes why this humility is required. So like the blade of grass, Mahaprabhu gives example. When tsunami happens or big storm happens, you see the big trees standing tall with the pride, they will break the branches. But you never seen here in the newspaper so much grasses have been uprooted, so much grass has been uprooted and so many have been destroyed. No, even stamp on it somebody, then after some time it will be there, it will come up, or it will always be lying like that, whatever shape it has been given, somebody's stamp on it. So with this, without this Trinarapi, without humble blade and humble grass, the bhakti cannot come. This is the foundation on which the bhakti can grow. So that's what we would see. Then the Mahaprabhu gives the example of the tolerant tree. Tree can be cut. You cannot be give water. It never protests. It always tolerate the sun, heat, so much problems in the life we also face, duality of the material nature. The tree tolerates, but a tree which is having a lot of fruits, it bends. because it is having a lot of fruits. So the humbler, the devotee is with highest quality, will be always humbler. He will not stand straight. So these are some of the instruction Mahaprabhu gives. So with this introduction, let us get into more details of various definition or various aspect or various angle in which we can look at humility. There is not one particular definition we can attribute to, but there are 6 to 7 attributes we can talk about what is the humility means. So that way, we can try to understand this perspective of this. Now, where is this? This is again Bhajan Ragasya. I've read this Chaitanya Mahatmya, Madhya Leela, 2200. This sloka comes. Here it explains the 6 symptom of surrender. A devotee means as it should have 6 symptom of surrender or bhakti when a devotee has. These are the 6 items is mentioned. Anukulishya sankalpa, pratikulishya varjanam, rakshitayati vishwaso, upatrve varanam tata, atma nikshepa karpanye, sadvida sharanagatihi. So one is that we accept everything favorable to Krishna service. Second, reject everything unfavorable. Third, a devotee is convinced that Krishna will give protection at any cost. It does not depend on any the demigod or anybody else. And devotee knows that he is the supreme maintainer. They don't go for daily bread with others, to other devatas and devis to pray. And they know that he is the Sukrutam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the ultimate protector, shelter of the devotee. He is the guardian. The 6th quality, interestingly, it is mentioned that one should be humble. So this out of the 6 surrender, symptom of surrender, when humility is not there, then it doesn't complete the, the bhakti part of it, or surrender process, which we are talking about. So the humility is at most given a very, very high level importance than any other quality. We will see why this humility is so important. There are 6 or 7 aspects of humility which I will be bringing it. If time permits, we'll try to cover all of them. If not, some of them we can discuss in detail so that this can be understood better way. So the first one is that the beginning of humility is to realize that our real ego, or come out of our false ego. What is this false ego we are talking about? We are this body, we are not the soul. It again sounds basic that we are talking about the basics of we are not this body, we are the soul. Prabhupada time and again mentions. So first thing is that we would have seen that sometime I used to stay at devotees like Prabhu, I am most fallen. I am the fallen in the entire universe. I am the I don't have words to describe. Then we started please pray for me. Without your mercy only I can come. Yes, but this is sometimes can be a fake humility in the sense. So when the acharyas, when they prayed it in the song book or something, they feel really that like that. It's not that artificially they try to say that I'm very humble. They don't mean it like that, because it is centered on me, us, saying that I am humble, I am fallen. So you're keeping yourself centered. Then when you centered around yourself saying I'm humble, I'm fake, then there is a false ego. You're trying to grow your false ego. Sometimes that I am so proud. I'm so proud that I feel that I'm more humbler than anybody else. I feel that see how I am humble. How I'm not getting angry. I'm so proud. I'm so proud that I'm being so humble devotee, right? So it can happen. So you trying to be an humble and you're so proud about it. So that could be a fake humility, saying that Prabhu, it's not that we should not express. You can ask devotees that Prabhu, please pray for me, I'm fallen soul. It's okay, but you should really mean it. It's not that you're centered around yourself and trying to boast yourself or trying to think about yourself. When your concentration moves from I, me, mine, us to others, then the starting of the humility. You talked about what you should talk about, think about others, find good in others. Any devotee who does anything good, start to appreciate them. When you change your me, my consciousness, I am fallen, more fallen, then you focus on the others, trying to glorify their good, ignore the bad things and always try to appreciate. That's where the real humility starts. That's where you stop your false ego, identifying yourself with body. I am humbler. I want to become humbler. I want to practice humility. So like that. Then Then it comes the, in the Mukundamala Sostra. So this word is really catching me. How one we can come out of this, I'm not this body. Idam shariram sata sadan jarjaram. So in that sloka, Mundamala Sostra, it is mentioned that this body after the death, either it goes into the fire or becomes ashes, or it goes to the earth where the worms going to eat, become a stool of the earth. Such a graphical explanation. Why should I worry so much about it? At the end, nobody's going to care. It's going to become ashes or it's going to become a stool of a worm. Why should I give so much importance to this body, false ego, right? So that's a powerful statement Acharya is explaining. So this way, it helps us in moving there. So initially, when one time Prabhupada was mentioning, one devotee came, Prabhupada, this Westerner devotees, initial time of initiation, they didn't know what Prabhupada names gives. When initially, when you get initiated in ISKCON, we have been given a new name. And Prabhupada, I forgot my name, what you gave. And Prabhupada said, it's not important to remember your first name. After that, I would have given something, Das. That's very important to remember. Most of the time when we become Das, then we say we are Das. After that, some people started calling Prabhu, you're initiated Prabhu. Then we give more importance to the Prabhu than the Das part of it. So our consciousness should shift from Prabhu concept to Das. But of course, others, we need to respect them as Prabhus. And always we should be in the mood of Das. That would help. Okay. So now, how this can be overcome or how this can be realized? You can see there is a picture of a mountain I given. There is a people who are getting in sadhu sangha, they are doing something. So the solution to this, I really identify your false ego, is that there is two examples can be given. One is that when you the solution is of course the association, but the answer is what kind of association is what important. Now there is a small villager who has been constructing a 2-story house in the village. He thinks he is big, and he thinks that, wow, I have constructed 2-story building in the village, nobody has, and he is the topmost. But you take him to the New York City and show this skyscraper, he'll be humiliated, utter humiliated, seeing these so many buildings, right? Similarly, the mountain looks from a distance, it's smaller than your body, then you think the mountain is smaller. As we grow closer, then you realize how big it is. So similarly, when we have association, there are three kinds of association we have. One is that with the senior devotees, another one with your peers and things like that, or with the juniors. There is nothing wrong in all the three types, but the importance, or always you should not ignore. Sometimes devotees might have only peers association, or they have more juniors association. They may not have a strong the senior association. Why? When you have a senior association, that time you see the mountain bigness. Otherwise, you see from the distance, you don't know the magnanimity of the particular other person. So what happens? Then you feel really insignificant. Wow, this devotee is doing amazing, and he is having such a character, and I feel insignificant. And automatically, naturally, the humility comes. You don't need to practice very hard to get that. So that is very important. All the three are important, of course. It's not that I just only ignore my peers and juniors because humility I want to develop. I take only the elders. So I was doing this Gita program. So then I used to ask all our devotees who are coordinating with me. Then I'll say, Prabhu, please give me a feedback. Please give me a feedback. The devotees are so humble that, Prabhu, it is wonderful. Prabhu, your all glories to you. They never give constructive feedback. But any constructive feedback, you never get it from your juniors. So most of the time, we are very comfortable having association of the juniors, because in fact, we'll be happy if somebody is humility, because it's giving a pride that he's not going to counteract, or he's not going to overcome me, or he's not going to take my position. He's always humble. He will do whatever I say. So we feel kind of a pride, happiness in managing this junior, giving association to the juniors, because they always come in the humble mode and do that. This can only that having association of the junior can really bring your bad in you, or since the pride can, there is chances of that the pride can come into a person's life. So that way it's very important. A balanced association with all the levels is very important, especially with the senior Vaishnava ones, Guru and Siksha Guru. This will it will dust all your pride, and you can get association. So that's one thing. Humility means real ego. So this comes from the knowledge. So humility means knowledge. Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita 13.8, when he defines the jnanam, he gives the definition of knowledge. In his case, amanitvam. The sloka starts 13.8. Beginning of all knowledge comes from humility. If the humility is not there, whatever knowledge, it will be at the theoretical level, it cannot be at the practical level. When you are in the practical level, when you have the humility, that's where the realized knowledge can come in. Otherwise, it will be like, you will be, in fact, you have more knowledge and you'll be more confused. Example, Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. He spoke, Krishna, you know what? There are 5 reasons. What do you think? He's become a very scholar, and he was giving point 2 to 3. He's telling, family life will be gone. That is gone. This gone. What do you think? There's 5 points. Then after that, 2.7, he says Karpanya dosha. He says, I've spoken so much. I'm confused now. That's because he spoke too much. And Krishna was just waiting. When you become humility, then I will speak. When you become humbler, then he says, Shadimam Tuam Prapannam. That's where Krishna catch hold of him. Then he said, you fool, what you think you're talking? A big scholar like that, you're speaking, but you don't know this concept. And Krishna started chastising. The knowledge is that Jivera Swarupa Hoya Krishnera Nityadas. This is the knowledge we need to know. There's not a big funda. As long as we know that we are the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, that's a knowledge one should gain. Srimad Bhagavatam came, Srimad Bhagavad Gita came just because humility. Arjuna was humbly asking Krishna, otherwise Krishna wouldn't have spoken this Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavatam, Shringi cursed Parishit Maharaj. He was so humble, he did not retaliate or did not, he said humbly, oh, please tell me what do I need to do? I have only 7 days. Then Sukadeva Goswami said, don't panic. Even 1 second is enough to go back to Godhead. But please hear this Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he started humbly asking. He started so touched by the humility of the that, and Sukadeva Goswami started explaining to. Otherwise we wouldn't have got this this granthas the way in the detailedly explained, right? This is for us. This is because of humility of somebody we could able to get. And this, as I mentioned, this Prabhu to Das, the mood should be always from very humbler. Then this knowledge can come in. Otherwise, there is no way to gain this knowledge. It will be theoretically there, but it cannot be vijnana. It can't be realized. Okay, then Srila Prabhupada is to proudly tell their disciples that I have been defeated. I have been defeated, my Guru Maharaj. When I went to like similar like Arjuna, Prabhupada also put across his argument. Is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he met in Ulta Danga, he says, Maharaj, how do you? Somebody will. We are under the British rule. We need to first get freedom. Then we need to go and preach this Krishna conscious. Then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he explains, no, this cannot depend. Krishna conscious cannot depend on any outer dependency. It has to go on. Then he said, proudly, Prabhupada is to tell his disciple, I've been defeated, I've been humiliated, my Guru Maharaj. So this is how the Acharyas feel. So we can also see from this example of Mahaprabhu that when he wanted to preach this Mahaprabhu Sankirtan Yajna, he's the supreme personality of Godhead, but his guru told him, you are fool number 1, you don't study Vedas, you're supposed to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. When he meets Prakashananda Saraswati, he quotes, my guru told me a fool. He was so he was so, Pratyama was so happy to tell him that, my guru has told me, like I'm fool number 1. So that is the mood in which Mahaprabhu took this message to everybody is trying to explain. So from this we can understand that And second, another example we can talk about is the Nityananda Mahaprabhu. Even though he's elder to Mahaprabhu, he's come much before, he would have started this Sankirtan movement, but he was waiting for Mahaprabhu to instruct, please go and door to door, recite this to Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu. Then he took this option. And Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, they met in Ramkeli when Mahaprabhu, they were keep straw in their teeth and feeling that really they have fallen. Then Jagai and Matai. Jagai and Matai used to search all the Vedas. They are very learned scholars. They will find out which sin gives the maximum suffering or punishment. They go and find out that sin, then they try to do that. then it's not the fake humility which he talked about. Sanatana Goswami really felt that they're fallen than Jagan Matai. When they went into the humility, the knowledge, then Mahaprabhu started giving the knowledge. Now Mahaprabhu did not give the knowledge, and they seeing that humility of them, then started explaining this knowledge. So then after that, these acharyas wrote many books and commentaries on like that. So from this we can learn that the knowledge can come only through humility. The next aspect, humility is expect no honor. Expecting no honor. This is very important in this shloka. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur again, he gives a definition for expecting a honor. This is like, this one word you can remember. This is really it touched my heart that, he said it is something like expecting a honor is like a stool of a hog. Why cannot be another animal stool? Stool is an abominable. Why it is a boar or a pig's stool is talking about? Out of all the categories of pig, also boar is supposed to be wild and supposed to be the most lowest in among the category of pig also. We eat something, we pass something, but the boar eats what we pass, then it passes the rest. That's how they did it. So when from the example, one example we can see is that Ramachandra Puri, when he was criticizing Mahaprabhu, he did not he did not felt, oh, this is right, he's trying to correct me, it's something which I need to accept it, and he started reducing his food, and other devotees also started reducing it. So we can from this that he accepted the criticism. And another example we can learn from Madhavendra Puri, Kirchor Gopinath, when Krishna has stolen the kheer for Madhavendra Puri, when the pujari was announced, he was started running from that place because he thought that puja pradishta labha will come. How do I handle it? So the acharyas, when there is small success in when we do any of our seva, either the preaching or the deity worship or any program or managerial activity, a small success, that's it. That will make us so proud. And here see the acharya, who started running from that place. He went to Puri. Puri also people started recognizing him, and you don't know where to go, and you started running. You don't want this Labha Puja Pradishta. Then he, it can be compared to a hard potato. It's less a boiling potato, you're taking it to your hand. You have to pass it on to somebody else. If you keep on holding it, this honor, then your hands can get burned. So it's one thing is that how do we handle this? It is not that, okay, should I stop doing this seva? If somebody started getting I started doing, I see success, is this simply as hand overing a potato, you hand it over to Guru or Krishna, because we know that even a blade of grass cannot move without sanction of the Lord. I'm being just an instrument. I give immediately credit to the Guru and Gauranga. So previously I'm not able to handle this pride, and then I started reducing my seva, saying that, oh, there's too much pride in this, let me do other seva, trying to find alternatives. No, if naturally Krishna has given you talent, you have to use it for Krishna's purpose. When the success comes in, you should know how to manage the success, hand over to the previous acharyas and Guru. If not, then there is a great danger in it. So most of the time we compromise, saying that let me take this different service because I'm getting pride, or we go other extreme, we want to keep on doing only the particular seva because I'm getting pride. So these are two different paths somebody can take, but it is just that whatever Krishna assigns, whatever capability I have, the superior finds it, I'm capable, we do that perfectly. If there are more honor and comes on my way, just pass it on like hard potato, otherwise it is very difficult. Then humility is not more external presentation of meekness, but it is really understanding the spiritual position. Everybody's heart, Krishna is there. Understanding that Paramatma aspect of it, it's not, of course, you can, humility also expresses when you humble somebody, you can see meekness, and they will show the meekness outwardly, but it is not really meant, it is, what do you say? This is a conscious change. It is the internal change that one should adopt. So there are many other examples, but one example with that, I can move on to the next one. Let me do a quick time check. Okay, it's a little time. So let me go to the next slide then. So the next one is humility, feeling of no love for Godhead. Means so the devotee really feels that he doesn't have a love for even tinge of love for Godhead. They really feel, it's not that they try to fake it. When we go closer to the Krishna, the greatness of the Lord is revealed, then they really become humbled. They become insignificant. Mahaprabhu, you want to jump into the Ganges because he doesn't feel Krishna. Sometimes he used to dance, he doesn't get that ecstasy. Then he said, what is that happening? And Sanatana Goswami, he said, what is the purpose of this life? I want to commit suicide. Then Mahaprabhu said, your body is not belongs to you, it belongs to me. How can you think of committing yourself suicide? So expression of your consciousness, this change should happen within your consciousness. The level of surrender, the level of service we do the Vaishnavas, then Krishna gives this quality of this humility. It's not that, Prabhu, I've been practicing humility for last 30 years, I'll become humble. No, this is the stage of your consciousness. You are reviving your consciousness. You're trying to cultivate your consciousness by serving, trying to realize this knowledge. Then Krishna sees and gives this humility to make it further progress. So this is one example. Then I'm just rushing because there are a few topics to cover. So the another aspect is humility accepts as a menial service. We seen from the example of these acharyas, they do a very, very, very menial service. For example, we know this Narottam Das Thakur, his guru, Loknath Goswami. He used to pass urine and stool. He used to go in the night with his own hand, he would clean. He was a princess. Mahaprabhu has stored his entire Prema Bhakti in the Batma river. Whenever Narottam Das Thakur comes, he will give this. He is predicted, he's empowered him. He is a princess. Look at him, he wants to get initiated. He went and cleans the places of the Acharya personally. Loknath Goswami was wondering who is doing this. One day he was hiding and looking at, and he saw this personally was doing. Narottam Das' humility is broken, and now he just cut hold of him. Hey, what are you doing? Then Narottam Das starts begging for his mercy. Similarly, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur taking initiation from Gaurakishore Das Babaji Maharaj. You can see that humility attracts the Lord and it breaks. Sanatana Goswami, one time he was so humble. Mahaprabhu said, your humility is breaking my heart. Please, you are so humble that, then Mahaprabhu started giving the knowledge. We can see this all the acharyas. Even Mahaprabhu used to wash the devotees all the clothes. Sometimes taking Navadip after initiation, he take all the devotees' clothes, he do a menial service. For Ishwarapuri, sometimes he would massage his leg, he cook for him. Mahaprabhu as an example is showcasing that, he is trying to do this activity. So everyone, like Ishwarapuri is serving his spiritual master at the deathbed, he was trying to serve humbly. We have so many examples in this category where everybody is trying to do menial service for their guru and people. Then the other aspect of humility is considering oneself insignificant and fallen. Probably I'll take another 5 minutes more to complete it. This is very important section. We have come to the almost end of it. So sometimes we think that humility. What we others thinks if I disclose my shortfalls or comings or I have something I don't have. Humility means accepting, being honest, telling that, Prabhu, I have this problem, I want to overcome. It's not only recognizing and admitting before the others that our weakness. Second thing is taking the solution from others. Sometimes you might acknowledge it, but the second step is that adopting the solution given by others. Repeatedly we do the same thing again repeatedly same comments comes back. That means that we're not taking that as seriously. So there are two steps to it. Openly honest, being honest, it takes a lot of humility to accept one's own problem, admitting weakness. Second thing is that taking that seriously, the instruction given, implementing it so that you rectify next time it doesn't repeat. That's one idea. Second thing, when we leaders or when we do some program, we think that seeking others' ideas, think that is lack of competence in particular person. He thinks he doesn't know, that's why he's asking. No, it's looking oneself. It's no resistance. We don't have any resistance in seeking the advice or considering others, giving importance to others, learning from others, engaging them in others, rather than my opinion. Giving importance to other opinions. These are some of the characteristics can come only humility is there in one's condition. Then one can do it. Example, Haridas Thakur, he was so humble. He was a Brahma himself, right? He was asking Krishna, please give me one boon. He was asked. He said, I want to become a dog. or insect in Vaishnava's house, such a humble person, Haridas Thakur, and we see Raghunath Goswami. He was a prince. He is adding 8 lakh, monthly income was 8 lakh gold coin. We are talking about 500 years back. He was a millionaire, multi-millionaire. You can never imagine. Then his parents started giving some food. Then he was accepting that. Then Mahaprabhu was not happy. Then he went and begged. Then Mahaprabhu was not happy. Then he stopped eating, and only in the night, some pujaris would give in the midnight some prasad. Then he used to eat. After that, he stopped eating that. And he asked Swarup Damodar, what's happening to him? Where is he? What is he doing? Then Mahaprabhu found that in the gutter, the rice would come, which even a cow would not eat, stale, that he would wash. Then he would take that. And Mahaprabhu grabbed his, seeing the similitude of Raghunath Goswami. So that way we can see that the humility. The other part, the generally common mistake is that humility versus inferiority complex. There is always, sometimes we might tend to see this inferiority complex, or somebody is really humble to be a humility. Similarly, humility, somebody's pride does not mean that somebody is not humble. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less. This is very, very important to understand. To give an example, one example of Prabhupada is that when initial days in US, the devotees, they don't know who is sannyasi, who is sadhu, how to respect them. They eat and they just throw the plates and go. Prabhupada has to cook, he has to clean, he has to do everything, menial service. For this purpose, if it is required for the purpose, you can do it. And at the same time, when Prabhupada came back to India, there was advertisement saying that Prabhupada and his foreign devotees. Then Prabhupada said, what is this foreign devotees? Put Americans and the Europeans. Is that Prabhupada proud? No, it is required for converting Indians to convey the message of purpose. If somebody needs to convey the purpose, somebody has to tell this what I have done. It is required for the seva. No problem, you can convey that. If somebody has to take the authority in charge of the particular action to complete the mission, it's not considered as, oh, he's humble, he's not humble, he's so proud, he's taking authoritative decisions and things like that. Now, if it is required for the purpose of seva, this can be done. Or sometime, I one example, practical example is when we went for Dhammararthi preaching, myself and one more devotee. The particular host was really, really humble, and she said, please have something in our house. I want to cook for you. I've been really happy. And she was just pleading. Some devotees might take a stand. No, I don't eat outside this Damodaraman. They would have taken a vrata or something like that. They know that it's not only food, it's conscience also affects the person who cooks. Some devotees said, I don't want to eat. Other devotee, how can you reject such a request? She's been so kind, she's organized the program and she want to humbly requesting, why can't we honor even though it's bhoga, like that, Sometimes you might so-called express saying that, I'm pride. It's not pride, it's a humility of understanding I'm servant of Krishna. I won't eat only prasadam. That's a vairagya you have. That's a commitment you have. That time externally somebody looks at, see how arrogant he is. He's preaching so much, but still he can't honor somebody's prasad. It's time, place, circumstances we need to take, of course, this scenario. But I'm telling it, sometimes externally one might see that he is not, he's pride, but he's not pride, because if it is taken for seva, then one can be taken it. So humility, inferiority complex difference is ego is rejected here, whereas inferiority complex means you are not able to, you are trying to do, you are not able to do, then you're frustrated with your ego. So that's a difference. So there is a little difference between humility and inferiority complex. Naturally, one might look inferiority complex person, very humble, meek and things like that. It's not because of that. Humility means you have something which the acharyas had everything. They know Krishna. Then they say, I am a kukur, I am not able to follow this. They fall and they describe means they really mean it. A person who has the quality, but he says thinking of less, is not thinking of less of himself, but is thinking yourself less. That's acharya's mode. Then they in that mode, they're telling that I am not able to do Krishna, you have to protect me, like that. So it's not anybody, a person is inferiority complex, he looks like humble because he can't do it. So that's not the humility here, Prabhupada explains. With the last one, I would stop here. This I'm not going to cover. Tolerance, this I told you, humility, tolerance, and respecting others. These are the three topics the verse talks about. The tolerance can be at the tolerating urges of the body and mind, or duality of this world, or difference of opinion, and tolerate prosperity of others. These are some of the topics on its own. Somebody has to dwell into more on the tolerance part of it. Just quick recap, I've been talking many of the things, I don't know, you got it. So the humility is a real ego. One should start thinking instead of me and mine, the others. The second is the knowledge. The knowledge can be gained only through humility, not otherwise. And then expect honor, no honor, always respect others. feeling no love for God genuinely. This is the humility of the Vaishnavas. They always feel that they are very humble because they see the greatness of the Lord. They see the big mountain in front of them. They really feel like that. Doing a menial service, considering oneself insignificant, fallen. Then also we talked about the inferiority and humility. I would like to stop here for any comments. Again, I ask forgiveness again and again of the senior Vaishnavas who know much more than me, but I have been asked to present. It's for my purification. Kindly, any corrections, I'm happy to take.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful presentation on this topic. Very deep topic, and in fact, you have rightly given so many understandings on humility for us to kind of practice. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Devotees can unmute themselves to share their reflections or ask any questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Gaurchana Gopinath Prabhu. Thank you for wonderful nectarian. I think all this spoke to me, and I have a lot of things to correct myself. One general question is that many times we speak humility and we try to correct others. We don't correct ourselves. That's, of course, my point. So what is that can be done to correct myself than correct others?
So you would know out of your humility, you're asking this. Fault finding is the nature of all the living beings. So when we say this, exactly there is one. If you see in this Ramachandra Puri pastime, fault finding others. There is a root cause why he started doing like this. The root cause is that is Grace Gauranga Prabhu gave this session. I was hearing this. The first root cause is that Vaishnava Aparadh. His guru, when he was in deathbed, Madhavendra Puri, he said, "Why are you screaming like that? You go think about the Brahman." I got so angry. How can you teach me like this? I've been already suffering. I'm thinking that I'm not in the Dham. I'm not able to remember the Krishna. You started preaching like this, get away from here, like that. So the first Vaishnava Aparadha started there. The root cause is that when we have this Vaishnava Aparadha started, then fault finding, other things, other pride, and all those started coming slowly. So that's the root cause of this root cause of fault finding when we are not trying to correct others. That Ramachandra Puri was doing it. That's because he started with Vaishnava Aparadha. So we should stop at the Vaishnava Aparadha level. So we always think that we are not the authority to correct. If there is something to correct, give it to the others. Or we can sometimes one way to look at it, when you have this tendency to correct, you can slightly change that. You can ask a question. Prabhu, I've heard you, this is something wrong in the Shastra says, but I heard that, you have done this. Is it true? You're asking a question. You're not correcting that person. So that he would understand. But you decide saying that, you've done this everything, Prabhu, what you've done is wrong. How can you do that? Then you're criticizing a devotee. That's Vaishnava Aparadha. But Prabhu, how do I understand this behavior? You might be having genuine reason, or you might be done with other reason. Then you realize that, my God, I am wrong. So asking a question, whenever there is something comes, don't correct it, ask a question. Prabhu, how do I understand with the humility? Prabhu, I have seen this behavior. How do I understand? If you put it across, then it does not become Vaishnava Aparadha. You are trying to understand with the mood, what is that, how do I understand? Or the other person might accept it, saying that, yes, Prabhu, it was wrong, I will correct it myself. Over. The chapter is over. So if you have that tendency, go in the inquiry mode, ask questions, or try to understand. That way you don't do Vaishnava Aparadha.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Please, I would like to get your constructive feedback so that my tolerance was tested just before this call. My laptop suddenly, the original laptop which I'm supposed to let it can't work. So I have to make quickly this presentation, another presentation, then the laptop came back. So some way Krishna tests your tolerance as well. So humbly seeking all the Vaishnavas' prayers so that I don't stop at the knowledge level, then I get into the practical aspect of it so that I can realize this, whatever I spoke. I humbly begging all the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas.
No problem, Prabhu. It was still seamless for us. I mean, we didn't have any issues. Thank you. I think we can conclude, Prabhu, with the Vaishnava Pranams. Thank you again for your time and your effort in explaining these important points. Thank you. Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Nantakoti Vaishnava Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'll be concluding the session. Hare Krishna.